there are many people who talk about the story of Rama, and among them, Valmiki Ramayana is one of the most important and one of the earliest versions. It begins with a simple conversation between Narada Munigalu and Valmiki. Narada Munigalu goes to Valmiki and asks this question: Kon vasmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavan dharmagnyascha kritagnyascha satyavakyo dridhavrataha. Basically, he asks, who in this world is gunavan, who has all of the gunas? And he proceeds to list out a bunch of gunas, like being very strong, being very beautiful, all of these things. And basically, Valmiki Galu, he says, the person with all of these gunas is Rama. And he proceeds to tell the Ramayana. So the Ramayana is a story of somebody who has all of the gunas. Of these gunas, one of the most important for the bhaktas to know is Karuna. The Karuna or the compassion of the Lord is very important, because without his Karuna, this world would not be created. We would all not be here. So it's very important for us to remember this Karuna. In fact, Jagannatha Dasaru in Harikatamrita Sara, one of the first things he talks about is the Lord's Karuna. After Mangalacharana Sandhi, he talks about Karuna Sandhi. And in Karuna Sandhi, he talks about Rama saying, Lakshmanana Anna Nodaguva Bhaktara Avasarake Amara Gana Sahita. He describes Rama as Lakshmanana Anna, which I will describe later. And then he says Rama's Karunya is that he will come when his devotees need him with his Parivara, the Amara Gana Sahita. So let's look at a couple examples of Rama's Karuna. So in Ramayana, a very famous incident is Rama is told, you need to go to Vanavasa and you need to give up the throne which is yours to your brother Bharata. And when Rama is told about this, Rama obliges immediately. He takes his father's word, even though Kaikeyi was the one that influenced his father upon the influence of Manthara. There is some story there, but let's not look at that. And Rama was very content. He readily accepted this. And by doing this, he shows us that we don't always get what we expect, but it might be something that is needed, and it might be for a different reason. And when we look at this scenario where we have a king and the kid of the king is not able to get the throne, in Western literature, we can see that the first thing they do is they fight, and they have a very different reaction than we see here. In fact, we can see different reactions in the Ramayana as well. For example, Lakshmana, as soon as he hears this, he says, Nashobhartho imo bahu nadhanur bhushanayami. He's saying, my hands, my bow, all of these weapons, they're not for show. I will use them and I will kill everybody that said Rama cannot have the throne. In fact, saying, I will kill Dasharatha even. And when Bharata comes to visit them in the forest, he says, I'm going to kill Bharata, I'm going to kill Kaikeyi, and it will be a good thing. Rama, upon hearing this, he gets angry at Lakshmana. And he says, killing your brother, raising a hand against your father, those are all very wrong things. And he explains that we shouldn't be angry at those that bring a situation upon us. In fact, when Lakshmana says he's going to kill Bharata, Rama specifically asks him, why are you angry at Bharata? Because Bharata had done nothing wrong. And he's showing us that we shouldn't be scapegoating other people for the issues that we have. In fact, when Bharata comes also, he's also angry. He says, Patishyati mahaghore niraye janani mama. I hope my mother goes to hell. He says that about Kaikeyi. And Rama says, you cannot say that. He says, Nachapi jananim balyam tvam vigarhitum arhasi. Rama says, your mother might have done something wrong, but you have no right to scold your mother about it. And he explains to both Bharata and Lakshmana and all of his brothers, when they get angry at their parents for what has happened, that it's not their fault. And he's able to convince them that you need to have compassion on others when something bad happens to you and not blame others. So if something unexpected happens, we need to accept it and not blame others for the problem, especially not making others the scapegoat when they're not responsible. But in showing this Karuna, Rama also shows us we need to follow the path of righteousness and always be fair. For example, in this same scenario, a Rishi called Jabali comes to Rama and he says, Jabali is a big Rishi and he's an Astika, he believes in God and everything. But he takes the position of a Nastika, somebody who doesn't believe in God and all of these things. And he says, Rama, you should come back to the kingdom because your father is dead. And so there is no need for you to follow his words. And there's no sambandha between you and your parents after they died. And he basically goes on advocating Nastikavada. Rama corrects Jabali Rishi and brings him back to the path of Astika by basically convincing him, no, we need to follow the truth, and he basically establishes why we need to do the righteous thing. He says that the rishis and the devatas, they were created to protect righteousness, and that we need to protect that as well. Among one of the things he says, Satyavadehi lokesmin paramam gacchati kshayam. Whoever speaks the truth in the world will go to the highest position. And he has a lot of other teachings in this part of the Ramayana where he brings us back to the right path. And this is important because in today's world, a lot of people will try to advocate doing the wrong thing to get to the right means. For example, like cheating on a test, saying it's for my good grade and I'm doing it for a good cause, so that's okay. But Rama here, he's showing us that's not okay. Because we need to always do the right thing, whether or not somebody is watching. Because we believe in God, we believe in karma, all of these things, and so we need to advocate for the truth. Additionally, Rama is very righteous again. When we look at the example of Ravana and Vibhishana, two brothers coming from the same background. Ravana, apart from the Ramayana, when you read about him in Puranas, he's portrayed as a Shiva Bhakta. We hear a lot about his bhakti, and a lot about his samarthya. He's a very big king, all of these things. But when he does something wrong, objectively, trying to kidnap Sita, who's Lakshmi Devi, Bhagavanta punishes him. He kills Ravana because Ravana did something wrong without looking at he's a Bhakta or he's whatever. But when you look at Vibhishana, he's the brother of Ravana. And when he condemns Ravana and comes to Rama, Rama readily accepts him, saying, you have done something right. So in both of these cases, the background of the person didn't matter, but the action of the person matters. And that is what we should do. We shouldn't be judging people based on our prejudice. We should be using their actions to judge the person and not say their background is what we can use to trust them or not. So through the examples of Kaikeyi, Jabali, Ravana and Vibhishana, we can see that we need to have compassion on others while also following what is right. Rama shows compassion on everybody, and that is why Rama is Karunavatara. In the Aranya, when there were a lot of Asuras, Rama went to the Aranya, killed all the Asuras and protected the good people in the guise of going in his father's, following his father's word. But when he was done with that work, he comes back to Ayodhya. Because Bharata said, I will be in Ayodhya for 14 years, and if you don't return, I'll jump into a fire. But just as he's about to jump into that fire, Rama comes with Hanumanta, and he says, don't jump, and he protects them, and then he rules Rama Rajya. In that exact same way now, Rama again has shown his karuna on all of us and come to Ayodhya after 500 years. And he's showing us again that he's going to be with us and he's going to protect us as long as we follow his path of karuna and righteousness. This is why we need to understand the message of Rama and implement it in our lives. Thank you.